Geez, the Zelda theorist sucks with sticking to a time clock. It's a good thing this isn't Termina. Sorry guys, I'm back and many of you have been patiently awaiting a video on Twilight Princess theories. Well, today is your lucky day. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff from the Hero's Shade to the Temple of Time. However, before we gallop on over to Ordon Village, there are a few things to get out in the open. First, while I welcome any and all comments, I respectfully ask any and all viewers to be respectful of my views and the views of others. Terms such as stupid, dum-dum, monkey breath, or any other offensive terms will result in a comment removal and you get reported to YouTube. Secondly, I, the Zelda theorist, sadly do not own any rights, characters, or storyline of the Legend of Zelda franchise. Those belong to Nintendo, or I would be like Scrooge McDuck and swimming around in gold coins. All I do is play around with the what-ifs. I'm glad that's off my chest. Now, onward, Zelda geeks! So we all know that Hyrule History confirmed that the Hero's Shade, this dude, is the hero of time. The Hero's Shade is put in place to teach fighting techniques to his descendant, which begs the question, what is the link between the two? I could go with the simplistic Link is reincarnated every 100 years, but I'm a girl and we are more complicated creatures than that. So, at the risk of sounding too fanfiction-y, which I don't want to sound too fanfiction-y, but it is what it is, I'm going to throw this out there. For those of you that follow my theory chats, you know that I don't buy the whole Link is dead in Majora's Mask theory. The King of Icona in Majora's Mask says that Link is full of life. Plus, there are some other pieces of evidence that I have found personally that lead me to my conclusion, but that's a different video. So here's the missing Link. Ha ha ha. After Majora's Mask, what if Link decided to go back to Lon Lon Ranch, since he obviously would have never fit in with the Kokiris after he grew up? Eventually, after helping out on the ranch for the rest of his life, he'd have grown up and possibly married Meilon, eventually having children with her. Now, being a warrior and a hero at the disposal of the royal family, Link would have gone on many adventures. My thought is this. During a battle, Ocarina of Time / Majora's Mask Link, fully grown, was injured, lost an eye, which would explain why the Hero's Shade is missing an eye as well as the wolf, became disoriented, and then became lost in the Lost Woods, where all grown-ups become Stalfos. This is where Link bites the big one. Meilon would have raised Link's child, who then would have given birth to the next incarnation of Link, which would be Twilight Princess Link. There are a couple of supporting facts for this theory. Number one, Meilon and Link could have settled Ordon as a farming community after they inherited Lon Lon Ranch from Talon after he died. If you take a look at the maps from Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess and take note of the positioning between Lon Lon Ranch and Ordon Village, it could be a coincidence, but I think not. Secondly, there are also Mallow and Talo. Add an N and voila. Now, Nintendo's notorious for recycling character names, like in the case of Fado and Fado, but we don't know if that's what happened, or we don't know if maybe one of the townspeople in Ordon Village decided to pay tribute to the town's original settlers and named them after Talon and his daughter, Meilon. What do you guys think? Let's keep rolling. I'm going to squeeze these next couple of theories together so I don't have to change the music, because I can do that since I'm making the video. But this creeptastic little guy bugged me so much! We know he's a Skull Kid, but I have a tiny theory about this one. I believe this Skull Kid, with his deranged eyes, demented smile, and ability to summon cockroaches of all things, is actually Skull Kid from Majora's Mask, only dead. He's not fleshed out like the Skull Kid from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, or the other two found in Ocarina of Time, and he looks kind of skeletal. I don't have any supporting evidence of this except for the fact that he can disappear and reappear elsewhere like a ghost, and he also carries around a lantern with him, like the Poe sisters from Ocarina of Time, any of the big Poes that you fight or the regular Poes you fight, and also the Poes in Twilight Princess. But I want to know mainly what you guys think, so comment below, let me know. I also know you guys hear me talk mostly about Majora's Mask because it's my favorite game ever, but it's relevant here, I promise. I touched a little on the Dark Interlopers being the ones to create Majora's Mask and spent time on that in another video, so I won't do the same thing here, but I just want you to see this. Take a look at Xant's scarf, Ganondorf's armor, and the fused shadow. Now, tell me you see no connection. All of them have the same crazy-eyed look design on them. Seriously, look at the eyes on those things. Also, the fused shadow was used during the Hyrulean Civil War, which, if I had to guess, taking into account the history given of the Civil Wars in all the games in the franchise, I would think it had to do with the darkness caused by the mask that affected the interlopers. This just gives me more reason to believe that the Twilight are really the dark interlopers. But there's more on that coming up. For the most part, the Sheikah are absent in Twilight Princess, with the exception of Impaz in the Hidden Village, although a high percentage of theorists seem to believe Madame Finati is a member of the Sheikah clan as well. I'll get to Impaz in a bit, but I'm going to tackle Madame Finati right now. Sure, there's the eye of the Sheikah on her forehead, but let's be real, I can wear a yellow feathered suit, and it doesn't make me Big Bird. It just makes me yellow and feathery, and no one wants to see that. So if you look at Madame Finati's skin color, eye color, and hair color, she or certain features pay tribute to the Gerudo, which is what I believe her lineage to be. However, my views may be swaying because I just read a theory called the Secret Sheikah and had some pretty cool evidence in there about some of the stuff that I am going to talk to you guys about right now. So, the Sheikah are referenced throughout Twilight Princess on items such as the Howling Stones, the owl statues, Twilight Zelda's cloak, and the back of Midna's helmet, which brings me to my next point. In Ocarina of Time, the Sheikah are referred to as the Shadow Folk. In Twilight Princess, the Twilight are the Shadow Folk. If you look at the owl statue in the basement of Ronaldo's home, the Sheikah eye prevents it from being moved by the Dominion Rod until Link obtains the ancient Skybook and becomes the new Messenger of the Heavens, which is a position handed down by the royal family of Hyrule to their guardians. And for you Ocarina of Time veterans, you know that the guardians of the royal family are the Sheikah. So sometime before the events of Ocarina of Time, a group of dark interlopers turned to dark magic. Perhaps these were the Sheikah that followed Bongo Bongo, but that's purely speculation. Anyway, they were banished to the Twilight Realm and later became the Twilight. Why were they sent away? I don't know, fear's a strong motivator. Especially as many theories suggest that these interlopers were the same folks who created Majora's Mask, got scared of its power, and sealed it in shadow. God, they should have just sealed them away in the Water Temple instead of the Twilight Realm, because, they'd never get out of there. I know I'm making some strong accusations, but here's my evidence. As all of you should know, the tear was added to the Sheikah eye to commemorate the betrayal of the royal family. This symbol is found on Xant's throne, as well as the fused shadow, which lacked the tear as they were made before the Hyrulean Civil War, which was before the tear was added. I think these kind of point to the masked figures dwelling in the Twilight Realm are actually the descendants of the Sheikah. Let's jump on Epona and head to the Hidden Village for a little bit because the elderly enjoy when we young people hang out with them. I'm talking about Impaz, of course. Impaz lives in the Hidden Village, and for those of you who can read Hylian script, the sign for the Hidden Village says Old Kakariko. Although Impaz's race is never discussed because race really doesn't matter, it's believed by most theorists that she is the last remaining Sheikah, unless you count my previous theory about the Twilight. This is believed because she was the last owner of the wooden statue that is given to Ilia, which shows a Sheikah eye. She also says her village comes from the founder of the village. Nope, not that Impa, this Impa. Ocarina of Time, Impa merely opened Kakariko Village to the public. She didn't actually settle it. That duty would have fallen on Skyward Sword Impa. And let's not forget about the pointed ears, dark complexion, and the red eyes. Now we're going to head on to Faron Woods and visit the Temple of Time. If you look at the location of the Temple of Time in Ocarina of Time versus Twilight Princess, you'll notice the location has changed drastically. In Ocarina of Time, it was a landmark in Castletown, and now it's been seemingly disregarded in Faron Woods. What the heck? After Ganondorf betrayed the King of Hyrule, it's likely that the sages moved the temple so it wasn't accessible. I mean, the Sacred Realm can be accessed from there, for crying out loud. I think the sages moved the temple when Link set off in search of Navi. I also believe that after Link put the spirits of the Poe sisters to rest, that the Forest Temple of Ocarina of Time crumbled the rest of the way into ruin and yielded the perfect location for the Temple of Time to reside. That's right. I think the Twilight Princess Temple of Time is built over the Ocarina of Time Forest Temple. It seems that the Sacred Grove has taken over the role of the Lost Wood and is even inhabited by Skull Kid, who makes it his playground. What do you guys think? Comment, message me, and if you like me, subscribe. Now kick back and enjoy the rest of the credits. Until next time, happy gaming.